right, we are on B-11, page 14, and we're going to talk about using the warp effect. So before we continue, we're going to have to group this beak together so that it is all one thing. And again, I'm going to take that black arrow tool, and since my beak's not touching anything else, I can just drag a box over it that touches all pieces, and then over here in quick actions, press group. I always like to click off of it and then click on it and move it just to make sure it's grouped. That's just a tip. Okay, so we've got that all done, and now we're going to use another panel that we haven't used called the Appearance panel. So remember to get to Panels, Window, and then Appearance, and that's going to pop this up. And your appearance should indeed say that we are selected on the group. But I will tell you, you can be selected off of something and it'll say no selection, and it's going to let you like change things over here, but nothing will happen. So always be careful and ensure that you're clicked on what you want to affect. And in this case, it's going to be that group. Okay, so once we've done that, there's an FX button in the corner called Add New Effect on the Appearance panel. And if we give that a click, you're going to see a whole list of various options of things that you can do to this beak. One of them that we're going to do here is called Warp. So when you go to Warp, you have different options, and we're going to choose Arch. And that is going to do that. It's going to make it arch. You have warp options here. You can bend it up, you can bend it down, but that would look kind of funny. You can also even add some horizontal and vertical distortion depending on how you want it to look. So it's kind of up to you as to what you want this to look like. I'm going to make mine kind of a lot, if you will, just because I like it. But you can choose what level you want yours to be. Okay? Once you're done, you're going to hit OK. Now, if you go into your outline view, Control Y, it thinks it's still the old version. And that's because a warp is a special effect. It's not a finalized effect. So, you know, kind of like we talked about strokes are just sort of outlines and they're nothing else. They're not thick. Same thing with this. When you add a warp effect, it's not a finalized effect. So to finalize those effects, we talked about before how we can expand something and then it turns it into that shape. So we have to decide, like on this, do we want to expand this one or do we not? Now also notice in the Appearance panel it says Group is set to Warp of Arch. You could still click on that and go change it like to other things. Not that you'd want to, but I mean like you can still access it even after the fact if it's still a warp effect. But once we expand it, it's not an effect anymore. It's as if it's just done, right? It's finished. Okay, so if we're in outline view, let's say, I'll go back into my outline view. If I take my curvature tool and I just curve the top beak a little bit, okay, like this, like that, okay. If I go back to the other view, see, this gets kind of all messed up, okay. So for the most part, we don't want to mess with, I'm going to hit undo, we don't want to mess with those settings unless we've hit expand appearance. And then we can go and we can start editing things because otherwise it's not like true, okay? So once we've got this all done and we're happy with it, okay, and we've got the whole thing set, you know, it's all selected. So if I go to Control Y, we still see it all. Then I can expand the appearance. So Object, Expand Appearance. And it should put little blue lines around all the pieces. Now, if for some reason it doesn't, sometimes you have to go to Object Expand a second time. It doesn't look like I need to do that on this one, but just understand that, you know, it's a little bit different. Now here, when we put this into position, you're going to have to decide like whether you want it to be a longer beak or a shorter beak or where you want it to be or whatever. And we can still scoot him backwards and make him smaller and all of that so that it fits like we want. I'm going to press Control 0 to fit to screen. And then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and grab some pieces and scoot them over so that I can make more room for his snout. And then same thing, probably need to make him a little bit skinnier. We'll move this eyeball in. There we go. That fits nicely. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Again, I haven't grouped the whole thing yet because I'm not done with it. I might want to do some additional things, and I don't think it's a good idea to group until you absolutely have to. Okay, that's the bottom of page 14.